Good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Today. Well, big breaking news then. The India team for the two test matches against New Zealand has been announced. And of course, like we had said last night, Virat Kohli will return for the second test match. There's no Rohit Sharma in the side. Of course, he's been rested, which means the captaincy will has gone to Ajinkya Rahane again. Like we said, Ajinkya Rahane will lead India in the first Test match. Of course, Virat Kohli will return and join the squad for the second Test match against New Zealand. So the squad, this is what it looks like. Ajinkya Rahane, the captain for the first Test match. Cheteshwar Pujara, the vice captain. KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal, Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, has been included in the test team. Riddhiman Saha, of course, he's been around the squad for a while before Rishabh Pant took over, and Rishabh Pant has been the preferred first choice wicketkeeper since the tour of Australia after the Adelaide Test. Riddhiman Saha is that squad. The big news, though, is Kona Bharat has been rewarded for his consistent domestic performances. Of course, we've all heard and seen Kona Bharat do well for RCB in the IPL 2021, but Kona Bharat has been justly rewarded for some solid first-class performances in the domestic circuit. Ravindra Jadeja, R. Ashwin, of course, the two ace spinners, Aksar Patel, who did incredibly well against England earlier in the year in that test series, and then Jayant Yadav is back. You remember Jayant Yadav, the off spinner who could bat, is a very, very handy customer with the bat. He was part of India's extended um, domestic season back in 2016-2017. He made some solid impression against England, especially about 5 years back. He's in the side. He's back in the side, and the pace battery of Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Siraj, and Prasidh Krishna. This also means Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, these guys have also been rested like they have been from the T20I side. There's no Rohit Sharma also. He's been rested as well. But this looks like a good test team. There will be no Virat Kohli in the first test match. He's coming back for the second game. He's also been rested. Virat has also been rested for the three-match T20I series. Now, New Zealand are a formidable team, and because of the World Test Championship format, every test match has assumed a lot of significance. But this is as good a chance as any to test the reserves in the bench and the bench strength of this test team, of this Indian test team, and it is impressive. It is a very impressive. It is a very impressive Indian test team. Remember what happened in Australia down under, especially by the time the teams went to Brisbane with the test series tied 1-1, and India won a historic game at the Gabba, Australia's fortress for over 4 decades. That is when the reserve stood up. That is when the backup players stood up. When 7 to 8 first choice players were not available, and they defeated a full strength Australia team in what has been their strongest venue at home for the last 4 decades. New Zealand are coming over now. That's again a pretty strong team. They're already in the final of the T20 World Cup. They have been arguably the most successful team at all ICC events in the last 5 or 6 years. So that New Zealand team is going to be a massive challenge. And of course, India had lost to New Zealand recently in their second match of the T20 World Cup. That result also derailed India's campaign for the semi-final of the T20 World Cup. New Zealand are now facing Australia in the final. And also remember, a few months back, India had lost to New Zealand in the final of the World Test Championship. But again, those were different conditions. In England, in Southampton, this is going to be more to India's liking. These conditions, of course, they're playing at home. But make no mistake, New Zealand have a very strong batting lineup. They have a good middle order. They have some very, very good spinners, some quality spinners, and they have some potent pacers who can trouble India even in their own backyard. But this team again looks impressive. Ajinkya Rahane, the captain, again, like I said, he'll be the captain only for the first test. Virat Kohli will join the squad for the second test and will lead the team. Cheteshwar Pujara, the vice captain. But these two men, Rahane and Pujara, the selectors have, of course, continued to show their faith in them, and justly so. They have been the pivot of India's batting lineup for the last several years, but they need to score runs now. They really need to score runs. Ajinkya Rahane, of course, scored a match-winning 100 against Australia in Melbourne last year. Pujara took some serious body blows. He stood strong at number 3, but he came back to form in the series in England. He's got some runs, but Ajinkya Rahane will need to establish his authority as a batsman, and that's where why this series will be so significant. As will Cheteshwar Pujara, by the way. You want to see him score some big runs, some big hundreds, and he's capable of doing that. He scored some big hundreds, some double centuries, and he's been, of course, even before his time as a Test number three for India. Pujara was renowned for those big scores that he got in domestic cricket. KL Rahul, of course, again returning to the Test team as an opener at Lord's, scored that scintillating 100. He was so good to watch. Mayank Agarwal or Shubman Gill, again, opening options. Shubman Gill unfortunately missed out in England, as did Mayank Agarwal. But both these men will be looking to make some sort of inroad there. So, who will partner KL Rahul in that first Test match? Will it be Shubman Gill? Will it be Mayank Agarwal? India have some options. Of course, also the addition of Shreyas Iyer is good news because he's widely regarded as a very talented multi-format cricketer, whether it's ODIs, T20 internationals now. The longest format of the game, the traditional format, Test cricket. You want to see how he does there as well. In the absence of Virat Kohli, do you see Shreyas Iyer getting a place? Again, a toss-up between Riddhiman Saha and Kona Bharat. Riddhiman Saha has done formidably well for India. Looking at the last several years, you could safely say Riddhiman Saha is India's best wicket keeper. But again, his batting probably let him down a fair few times, and that is where Rishabh Pant was drafted, and especially after the Adelaide Test, where India needed to bounce back from 36 all out, and Rishabh Pant justified his selection with some match-winning performances in those Test matches in Australia and against England at home. So, but again, Pant has been given a break, and they want to try out someone like Kona Bharat again, very good wicket keeper, very good batsman, and he has the temperament. Does he have the temperament to do well in Test cricket? But that's something we'd want to watch as well. Prasadh Krishna has been again rewarded. Don't just go by their name, the fame that they have in the IPL. These men have grueled hard in the domestic cricket, in first-class cricket. That's where they have really made their mark and asserted their role in they asserted their ambitions of Test cricket. And of course, the bowling lineup looks pretty strong, even with two of India's main fast bowlers being rested: Jadeja, Ashwin, Aksar, Jayant Yadav. Like I said, another spinning all-rounder. He can bat. He can bat, that man. He's back in the side, and of course, Ishant Sharma, and Umesh Yadav, the two of India's most experienced seamers in the side. Mohammad Siraj, he's been very impressive. Very impressive ever since he made his debut across formats about a year back. He's of course done well domestically. He's done well in the IPL, so he'll be a handful against New Zealand with his pace and with his energy. But this Indian Test team looks very well balanced, in my opinion, because with the T20I side, you were looking at 4 or 5 openers, some all-rounders. For me, it's probably they're going to try different combinations, different permutations. Maybe Rohit and Rahul at the top, Ruturaj Gaikwad at number 3. Maybe looking to explore someone like Venkatesh Iyer at number 6. But this one looks pretty solid. You have two openers with one backup opener. One of Mayank Agarwal or Shubman Gill will partner KL Rahul. You have a strong middle order, of course, assuming that Rahane and Pujara get those big runs as well. And then you have Shreyas Iyer and one of Riddhi and Kona Bharat as the wicketkeeper batsman. And then, of course, you have the likes of Jadeja and Ashwin, who have done so well with the bat in Test cricket as well. Assuming Akshar Patel or Jayant Yadav, one of them plays, that also adds heft to the batting, because all these spinners, all of India's spinners selected for the Test matches can bat very well. Ravindra Jadeja, R. Ashwin, Akshar Patel, Jayant Yadav, all these men can bat and bat very well indeed. And then you have the pacers: Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Siraj, Prasadh Krishna. So that's the squad. That's the squad analysis. Of course, we come back with a lot more, and as we build up to the New Zealand series, because this is going to be an exciting weekend. 14th of November, Australia versus New Zealand, a trans-Tasmanic final. That one, heartbreaks for England and Pakistan in the semis. The two very good semifinals. Very good semifinals in the sense that these teams fought, and 4 of the tournament's best teams made it to the last 4. Hassan Ali's dropped catch last night, some expensive overs towards the end, and Marcus Stoinis and Matthew Wade just too good for Pakistan at the end, as was Daryl Mitchell for New Zealand against England. So that was how the cookie crumbled in those two semi-finals. So we'll build up to the T20 World Cup final as well. But it is important to look at this series because this is the beginning of a new era, like we said. Under coach Rahul Dravid, under new T20I captain Rohit Sharma has been named T20I captain for the three-match series against New Zealand. Of course, there's been no official announcement. Also, we'll wait to see how this test team looks under Rahul Dravid as well. Because, in all honesty, India have done very, very well in Test cricket under Ravi Shastri, the coach. They won series overseas, series in Australia, leading 2-1 in England. They won in West Indies. They won in Sri Lanka. They won at places where Indian teams traditionally have struggled to win. Of course, New Zealand is going to be a bit of the final frontier for this Indian team, and whenever they go next, that they want to conquer that as well. But this is only a beginning. This is only a beginning. So then, this is that's all that I have. Was surprised with Hanuma Vihari being excluded. Yes, and Hanuma Vihari did not also play that last Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. So we just want to wait and find out what's going on with Hanuma Vihari. Has he been injured? And this is I don't know. I mean, whether they've overlooked Hanuma Vihari or whether there's an injury concern or whether there's a fitness concern. Because if he was fit, if he was available for selection, yes, that'll be a little. He'll feel a little hard done by because he's played most of his test matches overseas, all but one or two, I think. And he's done well. He's done really well. He's stood up. He's been solid, and he's done what the team has needed him to do, especially in that drawn test match in his partnership with R. Ashwin in Sydney against Australia. He's done everything the team has ever needed him to do. Scored runs in the West Indies in tough conditions when the top order crumbled. Remember, 2 years back, alongside Ajinkya Rahane, Hanuma Vihari was India's mainstay with the bat. So, if not for an injury, then I'd say he's a little hard done by. He's a complete team man, and you'd want to see more of Hanuma Vihari, hopefully, in the future. But there's a lot of Test cricket coming up. Then, of course, after this tour, India also going to South Africa, and the India A team. To South Africa with the shadow tours as well alongside the main team, but the India A team will tour South Africa before that, and hopefully you'll get to see the likes of Prithvi Shaw and Umran Malik do well and give India a few more options before they head out to what is going to be a pretty challenging tour of South Africa as well after the series against New Zealand at home. Well, then that's all that I have for you. I'll go through the team once again. Virat Kohli has been rested for the first three T20Is, and the first Test match against New Zealand, he'll be back and lead the team. He'll be back to lead the team for the second Test match. Here's the team then. Ajinkya Rahane, the captain for the first Test. Chiteshwar Pujara, vice captain. KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal, Shubman Gill, the three openers there. Shreyas Iyer, Riddhiman Saha, and Kona Bharat, the two wicket keepers in the squad. Four spinners, Ravindra Jadeja, R. Ashwin, Aksar Patel, and Jayant Yadav. Four similar spinners, two left-arm spinners, two right-arm off-spinners. So that's a very similar array of spinners. So still no wrist pin in the Test squad either. Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Siraj, and Prasidh Krishna. India have four paces to choose from for these Test matches. Well, then, that's all then. Please do subscribe to Sports Today. Please keep coming with your comments, questions, opinions, and keep supporting this platform. We'll be back with a lot more as we head to the final or the finale of the T20 World Cup and brace for a new home season for India starting the 17th of November with the T20I against New Zealand. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good Friday. Stay safe this weekend. We'll see you soon. And do subscribe to Sports Today. Bye.